Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another royal news video. So lots of stuff to talk about. You're going to get lots of content this week, but we're going to start this video with the ball. Yes, I was Cinderella and I went to the ball. I got my hair done. I wore my very, very pretty dress and my husband looked absolutely divine. I was so proud of him being on my arm. I felt like I was being escorted to the ball by my very own James Bond. I caught him checking his watch in the garden. He wasn't posing for this, and I said to him, you actually look like James Bond right now. You're setting your watch to your mission. And this just by pure fluke. When we got into the taxi to be driven to Castle Goring, the taxi driver said my husband looked like Daniel Craig. Well, that was the boost that he never knew he needed, and he was flying high for most of the night. My friend Caleb, he was also in attendance. Some of you might recognise him. He helped me interview Lady C a few months ago at Castle Goring. I met so many fabulous people there. I'm really embarrassed about this, but I can barely remember anybody's names. I'm just going to say it was a pleasure to meet all of you. It was really exciting being there. There were definitely continuous streams of serving staff who were wonderful, but so much as you'd only have a sip of your glass of champagne and bang, it was up to the top again. It's a miracle I actually remember the evening at all. Now, I obviously met P. Dina, who came all the way over from the States. She's on a little mini European vacation herself, and she was absolutely fabulous. The big excitement for me, well, actually I lie. There were lots of exciting people there. Obviously, there were princesses and princes, and we had Josh the photographer. You remember Josh? Josh came into the finals of winning a photography competition for this wonderful photograph he took of Catherine. He got invited to do the event photography, and he's taken some incredible photographs. And my friend Amber, she was the one organising a lot of this. She was working as Lady C's secretary. So big round of applause for my friend Amber, who looked absolutely gorgeous in an incredible dress that her mum actually had added a little bit of extra sparkle. And Amber definitely was the belle of the ball, next to, of course, the fabulous Lady C, who I bumped into her just as she was making her grand entrance. She is fantastic. She was quite the hostess. She looked absolutely incredible. And later on in the evening, I got to meet another fabulous person, Dan Wootton. I was so excited to meet him, and he is genuinely really, really lovely. You know, sometimes when you feel, I really hope they're as nice as they come across, well, he's actually nicer, and I'm looking forward to speaking with Dan very, very soon. So watch this space. Now, for the rest of you, let's get on with a royal news video. And we are going to start with yesterday being Prince George's 11th birthday. He is now officially a tween. The Princess of Wales had taken the fantastic photograph of her eldest son, and he looks so much like his father here. He's a real combination of Michael Middleton, which is still very strong genes, but very much Prince William. It only seems like yesterday that we saw Catherine and William stand outside the Lindo wing holding Prince George in their arms. Bells rang out from churches across the whole of the UK. Famous buildings and monuments lit up in blue all around the world to welcome the young prince. And he has turned out into such a wonderful young man. Just like both of his siblings, he's an absolute joy to watch at engagements and always having fun at outings with his parents. It's very clear that the family are very close, they're loving, and whilst they are readying their children for a life of public service and duties, they are also allowing them to remain children. And most importantly, they are clearly loved by their family. Harry turned around and said, as one of his many swipes towards his family, that he's concerned for Prince William and Catherine's children because he knows either Princess Charlotte or Prince Louis will end up like him. Well, I think I can say, as can many of us, there's not a hope in hell that any of those children are going to end up like Harry. They are being brought up with so much love and support and family around them. For Harry to have said such a negative thing, I think he should concentrate more on his own children that are being brought up isolated from all of their family from both sides. Not only that, they are never ever seen in public with their parents. The fact is that Meghan and Harry now pay paparazzi to take photographs of them at the drop of a hat, and I find it a miracle that those children have never been papped out with their parents. Now, speaking of which, because it was Prince George's 11th birthday, we can always synchronise our watches. At this point, most normal human beings would be absolutely mortified at how obvious it is that Meghan is calling the paparazzi to upstage her very own nephew. But she took a few even extra steps this time to look just that little bit more unhinged. And that was naturally being Princess Diana's eldest grandchild. Meghan decided that she was going to dress just like Princess Diana. If that wasn't enough for you, Meghan was making sure that her wrist was held up like she was a T-Rex dinosaur to draw attention to the fact that she is wearing Diana's gold tank watch. Yes, Meghan does have her very own tank watch that she bought for herself on the second season of Suits and had it inscribed to MM from MM. How narcissistic can you get? But remember, she wasn't a fan of Diana, just copied her watch. She hadn't even heard of Princess Diana. Well, that's certainly changed, hasn't it? Because not only was she dressed like Diana, wearing Diana's watch, as I said, making sure she drew attention to it, she was also carrying her Lady Di custom Dior bag with naturally her title's initials that had been engraved on it. It is a very special bag that Dior honoured Princess Diana. They had named the bag Lady Dior after Lady Di. Meghan might think that she's channeling Diana, but I think she's channeling more the sort of people of Baby Reindeer and Norman Bates and all of the other sort of creepy stalker films. Meghan was naturally wearing her big, again, Norman Bates creepy psycho plastered on grin as she left the restaurant, making sure that the world did actually notice that she was paying homage to her dead mother-in-law yet again. Or as some newspapers pointed out, said that Meghan gives a subtle nod to Princess Diana. Trust me, there is absolutely nothing subtle about this nod. At this point, most of us are surprised that she hasn't cut her hair off and bleached it blonde. Now, let's move away from Meghan because, as we know, she loves that attention just a wee bit too much. Let's talk about Harry, Prince George's uncle, who also had a big announcement that couldn't wait a couple of days. He also decided to release it to American news on the same day as his eldest nephew's birthday, and that was Birmingham in the UK is going to be the host of the 2027 Invictus Games. Perhaps America decided to withdraw their offer for it because of the backlash that was surrounding Prince Harry from collecting that Pat Tillman award. It was quite the controversy, especially the fact that Pat Tillman's mother Mary said that he was undeserving of the award. It has definitely upset many US veterans, many families of US veterans. The fact is that we know that he went there to collect that award for himself. He used veterans on stage. It was bad enough the backlash before he went, let alone what he did during the fact that they got up and left and ruined the end of the show for other people that were actually there, I don't know, to maybe celebrate the decent human beings that were very, very deserving of their awards. Now, as for Birmingham, who have now received this wonderful honour, I think it's going to get its very own shitstorm of backlash. And that's because Birmingham City Council went bankrupt because they owed between 650 and 750 million pounds, which is near enough $1 billion in debt. So do you know what Birmingham City Council have done to the residents of Birmingham? Well, they have told them that they are increasing their council tax by 21% over the next 2 years, whilst reducing their public services that our council tax pays for by 300 million. So they are going to be paying the biggest hike out of any other city in the UK. They are reducing the number of bin collections that they get. I mean, surely your bins being collected is basic hygiene. They are having reductions done to highway maintenance. To be honest with you, with all of the rain that we've had in the UK, if they reduce highway maintenance any less, we are just going to end up with craters and potholes that are actually going to endanger people's lives. Oh yeah, and I forgot another thing that they're doing to the residents of Birmingham. They are dimming the street lights at night. So that means that all of the women and girls that are walking home from the safety of work will be even more in danger. Isn't that fabulous? But of course, they're going to come up with the money, no doubt getting a government grant, to host the Invictus Games. I'm sorry, but I think when the people of Birmingham cotton on to this big announcement and what it's actually going to mean for the city, I think there's going to be a lot of pissed off residents. Canada recently had to give, they say they donated it, but Canada had to give 30 million Canadian dollars to help bolster up the coffers for the huge winter games that are being held at Whistler, much to the Canadians' taxpayers' concerns. Now, I just want to say here that I am not attacking the Invictus Games. I think it is a wonderful organisation, the number of people that come together every year and make it an incredible event. It deserves so much more credit than what it is getting. I just don't like the way it's being run by people at the top, and they are definitely already having a kick in with the lack of donations, with sponsors, and even reports of veterans pulling out of the games. Perhaps this is why the chief executive, Mr. Dominic Reid, has recently quit. You can call it a resignation, call it what you like, but the fact is that he quit. Harry wasn't aware of it, quickly put out a statement. Mr. Dominic Reid has also done a very lovely leave-in speech on the Forces Network. He didn't mention Harry, the founder, once. He also is leaving without a replacement. So this is something that is rushed. This was not something that was in long-term planning. So it makes you wonder, did he quit? Which is very obvious that he did, but is it because of the Pat Tillman backlash? Because they said, look, Harry, this isn't just damaging you, this is damaging the foundation on a whole. Did he quit because of obviously Birmingham, us hosting it, with a city that is in bankruptcy, that has got one of the highest tax hikes for members of the public that live in that catchment area, are now going to spend millions on hosting the games. And not only that, but it's pretty obvious what's going to happen now the Invictus Games is being held in the UK. There will be a lot of pressure from Harry, from the media, from people saying, well, the royal family must attend. If they don't attend, then it means they don't support veterans. You know that level of toxic reporting will be coming up, and Harry will be rubbing his hands with glee, because if the royal family do go, then he gets that little boost, doesn't he? Reminding people that he is a member of the royal family. And if they don't go, he can play victim and say, oh, look, the royal family don't support the veterans, but I do. It's hardly surprising that Mr. Reid thought, do you know what? I'm not getting involved with that toxic mess. In his leave-in speech, Mr. Reid expressed his admiration for the games, for the veterans, and how he feels incredibly privileged to have been part of it. But the time was right to move on. Mr. Reid was one of the original team, one of the original people that actually created the Invictus Games. Now, as soon as this announcement got made to the press, Harry was quick to put out his very own statement thanking his dear friend. Perhaps he could have thought to have done that when he collected the award for the Invictus Games. The truth is, I don't stand here collecting the award for Prince Harry. I'm collecting it for the Invictus Games. Well, that was another big fat old porky pie. We know that that award was for Harry patting himself on the back. He used the Invictus Games to try and soften the blow, the same as he used the veterans that he rudely told to stay on stage, to yet again soften the blow and hopefully some of the boos. Now, rumours have long been going about that the Invictus key players have tried many times to divert attention away from the wife, her fashion show and her attention-seeking stunts. And this has caused massive friction, not just with Meghan, but of course with Harry, who has fought tooth and nail to make sure his wife is always front and centre. Mr. Reid has apparently been trying for some time to divert the focus back to what it should be on for the Invictus Games, and that is, of course, the games, the stories of the veterans, the families, the support. So it looks like that Dominic perhaps gave up the goose, as they say. The whole Nigeria trip, remember, was meant to be for the Invictus Games. You wouldn't know that, would you? Instead, it was made all about Meghan's newfound 43% Nigerian ancestry and her inappropriate clothing. The same for the games at Dusseldorf. Meghan decided to announce before the games her heritage. So of course, the Nigeria team who were there for their first representation of their country, Meghan made it all about her and the fact that she's now a Nigerian sister. It makes you wonder what stunt she's going to pull out of the hat when she goes to Whistler. I'm very surprised that she hasn't got Indigenous blood in her at this point, but watch this space. Is it surprising that the Germany segment of the Invictus Games has splintered off? They have become their very own foundation. You now have Invictus Germany with their own founder, and guess what? There is not a mention of Harry or Meghan anywhere on their website, and they are holding their first games this year. Many people, the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to Meghan Markle's influence over the games and her attention-seeking stunts was this single video clip. Dominic was very frustrated at Duchess No Pants, as were most people. You could tell by the lack of clapping and people turning and looking away. Now that is not fair on the veterans, but this is the problem. Unless Invictus, the top people, start getting a hold of this, it's only the veterans that suffer. Harry and Meghan are making a mint off Invictus. Like I told you, they were the ones that got Netflix to do Heart of Invictus. But Harry and Meghan, that was part of their multi-million-pound contract, and the Invictus Games was suitably compensated. I'm yet to know what that sum may be, but I can assure you it's going to be nowhere near the sort of money that Harry and Meghan got paid. No, mark my words, there is definitely something that is rotten to the core inside the Invictus Foundations. As I said, you had those two prominent figures with the Canadian segment of it. They stuck their head above the parapet, reshuffled. So yes, with Mr. Reid resigning, bearing in mind that Harry only came over a few weeks ago and Harry didn't even have a sniff that this was coming his way. He did it smack bang in the middle of Harry getting backlash for receiving the Pat Tillman Award. You had Lord Admiral West, who was once the head of the UK Navy, say Harry should not be accepting this award. Pat Tillman's mother. Everybody knows that Harry should have turned down that award, but he didn't. He went up on stage, he used veterans as a buffer. But for Dominic to have quit when he did, with all of that still happening, the fact that he's got no replacement, the fact that he also wanted to see the games be a success, and also that he made not one tiny mention of Harry in his speech, tells me there is definitely trouble afoot inside the Invictus Foundation. But we're not going to end the video on a sour note. Let's end it on a bitter note instead. So you know, a few videos ago I was talking about the fact that they have recently redone their dog bowl brands. You can buy a Holyrood House dog bowl, pet bowl, and you can buy a Buckingham Palace one. And they were also selling it next to the Highgrove strawberry jam. This led to many people, myself included, speculating, or at least hoping, that they were trolling Meghan and her Aro brand. Yes, remember Aro? American Riviera Orchard? Yes. Well, that soon-to-be failure, which I am 99% certain it's going to end up like 40 by 40. The fact that she hasn't even bought it up yet, I think she's hoping maybe people will forget about that. No, we're not going to. We are never going to forget about the bowls of jam being sent out to so-called influencers and influential people, or your friend Abigail Spencer rolling around on the grass with a bowl of lemons. Well, they're definitely not going to forget about it now either, because Holyrood House has launched another new product, and it is their dry gin. Now, I know that lemons obviously do go with gin, but I cannot help but feel that this is somewhat deliberate, and someone in marketing is literally going, suck on those lemons, Meghan, how'd you like that? It's a little bit of playful trolling. But guys, tell me what you think, and I will be back with you very, very soon. We've got to talk about another awards show that Meghan and Harry are attending, but the awards are not actually for them, and Meghan is apparently already kicking up a stink. So I will see you really soon. Take care for now. Bye.